give updates on the Spurs.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. See, Twitter still doesn't like it for some reason or another. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to figure that out. But anyway, we are back, Mark. First weekend of the season in the bag, almost. Half time in the Spurs game, of course, 1-0. Pedro Porro from Madison. So interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. And we'll keep you updated, of course. But if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video. Don't forget this week, Pro Wrestling Weekly, folks, this week is tomorrow night instead of Wednesday, because Wednesday, myself and Mark are on your screens again with an interview with one Danny Pugh. So we'll be talking to Danny about the academy at United, the moves to the various clubs, any road stories he has, how he feels about playing with the Man United legends, all that kind of stuff. And all. So it should be a good interview, bit of crack. We're going to have a lot of fun. So if you want, head over to that as well. If you want to drop any questions in the chat between now and Wednesday, 9 o'clock, we will put your questions to Danny Pugh. So there you go.
He's a great lad. He's a great lad. It's going to be a good one. Had a good chat with him and a few points along for Whitman. He's a true professional. So yeah, hopefully he'll have some good stories lined up for us.
So being a true professional, he'll fit in perfectly with us too, won't he?
Now you have it. Now you have it.
There you go.
So tonight I was going to say, cause how sweet was it waking up on Friday knowing the Premier League was back, baby?
Do you know, because it was the United game, it didn't feel as sweet, but certainly Saturday morning, as I told you already, I went and I had a half-hour session getting realigned, all that body crack and stuff and all. And then I went into the shop, I was doing a bit of work, and I was able to put on the half-12 game and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it did. I said even on Friday, it felt unbelievable to have the Premier League back. And I've been saying it for weeks now. I'm sick of the transfer window, not just because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm just sick of it in general. It's just been crap, and the Euros on top of being such. And the Euros was such a disappointment as well, really, and stuff like that and all. So I really just wanted football back, and I can't wait for this transfer window to end. At this stage, I don't even care who we end up with. I just want to get on with it at this stage.
Get it over and done with, yeah.
So let's go to the chat. William's in there. Big up, William. Thanks for joining us as always. Simon's in. Big up, Simon. Hope you're good, my friend. And Philip is in. Big up, Philip. Good to see you.
How are you, Phil? What's the story? Believe it, Phil was behind me goal when I was playing a goal for the United Legends there a few weeks ago. I wish him a quick happy birthday when I was on the pitch. So thanks for dropping in, Phil.
There you go. Appreciate it, Phil. Anytime. Thanks for dropping into the chat and anyone else in there. Right, so we're going to start. First of all, we start. Marky, let people know the score. Monday mashup this season, again sponsored by Hogan Elite Trophy Horse.
Yeah, lads, in the chat, if you haven't got, like I keep saying, go on to Facebook, give us a like and a follow. Go on to Instagram, give us a follow. Loads of events coming up. Trophies were meant to be in Kinnegad on yesterday. It was cancelled because the senior team had an important game, so they're rearranging to next month. We have a few other bits and pieces coming up next month as well. Then into next year, like I was saying, plenty more Legends games coming up. There's 4 or 5 Legend games been mentioned for next year and stuff. So yeah, really looking forward to all that. But yeah, like I said, if you have any party, any events coming up, if you're involved in a football club or whatever it may be, give us a shout on any of the socials, and we'll look after you.
There you go. Big up, Philip. No problem at all. Thanks, guys. Not a bother at all. And same in the chat, folks, as well. If anyone ever wants a shout out or a birthday or a message for someone who's not too well or anything like that, we only charge the mere total of $9.99 for a shout out. Nah, I'm only messing. We'll give anyone a shout out anytime. So if you have anyone there that isn't doing too well or feeling a bit down or in need of a bit of a pick me up or anything like that, drop us a private message or an email on the uppertierpodcast@gmail.com. And we will be sure to give them a proper shout out. Same with birthday wishes, christenings, communions, confirmations, whatever it is, whatever floats your boat, 18th, 21st, 50th, whatever it is. Right, let's get in. Premier League review. First weekend, Marky, of what's going to be quite a long 9 months, I would imagine. But we started off Friday night, 8 o'clock, under the lights at Old Trafford. That brand new tunnel, in effect, being shown off, I have to say. What did you make of United on Friday night?
Well, obviously, like I said last week, a lot of expectation came in pretty, into the start of the season feeling pretty good with what we've done off the pitch, and like I said, we've gotten a structure and we're going the right direction. Some of the performances, obviously in pre-season, weren't great. Some of them were decent enough, but you can never really judge, as you well know, off pre-season games. There's a lot of chopping and changing, rotation and stuff like that. But yeah, going into the game on Friday, I thought Fulham started the brighter. If I'm being honest with you, they looked very dangerous going forward. They, caught us on the counter a good few times, particularly in the second half. I thought Harry Maguire had an excellent game to deal with that. But like you look at us, I think we were sloppy passing out of the back. I thought we were very, very sloppy. We didn't look we didn't look like we were going to do it. Even going forward, we were lobbing balls into the box. There wasn't that we weren't looking to pick out players. It was just kind of hit and hope, get it in there. Sometimes you might think if you're not going to hit a player hit it into an area in the box where it's going to be dangerous. We weren't even doing that, Marcus Rashford again. I seen there was a few glimpses of him in pre-season, and I thought, Jesus, he's getting back to himself. Happy days, and you know, on Friday night, he's just after picking up from where he left off last season. By the looks of it, quite negative body language. Didn't look happy. Wasn't tracking back too much as well. So, but if you recall, this time 12 months ago, we played Wolves on the Monday Night Football, first Monday night of the season, and we absolutely stole a win against them. And I think that was the same against Fulham on Friday night. I thought we stole a win. Great finish by Xerxes. Good to see him scoring his debut. But I think overall we didn't play well enough for we weren't convincing. But like if you're gonna look at it, it's a 1-0 win, 3 points and a clean sheet at home on your opening game. So you'll take that. But overall, the performance was very disappointing.
Yeah, it kind of like, I mean, it's difficult as well. Obviously, with Euro picking up an injury and Rasmus picking up an injury and all that kind of stuff that goes with it as well. And then it's kind of the lick coming on eventually and stuff like that. Not that Maguire was bad. I mean, he dug you out of a hole a couple of times as well.
Yeah,
So,
he
but
did. He went off injured that time, goes, and before that, obviously he made a few good blocks and he was decent. He kept us in at times, so fair play to him. But he just pulled up. Obviously got taken off, and the lick came on and to make his debut, which was obviously a positive. I don't think he came on for long enough to kind of really make an impact or anything like that. But yeah, it was frustrating to watch at times. Like I said, the football wasn't free flowing. It was very sloppy. And like I said, Fulham played very well. Obviously, you're looking at a few of the players. They're going to be a tough team to play against. I think they're at home next week. Who who are they playing? They're playing, I think, one of the teams that came up this season. I think they're playing on Saturday, so you'd expect them to win that. And then there's talk about different players coming in from them before the end of the transfer window. But they are, like last season as well, as me and you both know, as United and Liverpool fans, they were very hard to play against. So listen, like I said, on the overall, you take the win, you take the 3 points and the clean sheet. But when you really dig deep into it, it wasn't the best performance, boys, at all. We got through it all right. So a lot of lessons to be learned going into a tough game against Brighton away on Saturday.
yeah, absolutely. What did you make of the one thing I kind of took out of the game? Obviously, Xerxes getting the goal was massive for you and well
Yeah,
celebrated and stuff like that. And obviously, Van Nistelrooy was very happy at the end as well, of course.
seeing that,
And
yeah,
he was getting quite the ovation as well. And of course, he was kind of deflected away from himself and pointing to the players and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. Um, but he didn't spend much time in his seat either. Van Nistelrooy
He
during
was
the game
standing,
either,
yeah.
did he? He had that
He was
shades of
standing.
Ronaldo during that. Was it the Euros or the
Yeah.
World Cup or whatever it was?
The year,
Where he was
yeah,
on the
Euros a few
sideline.
years ago when he was injured and he came off injured and he was in it, yeah.
And at
But
times I felt looking at it, I felt like he was going beyond the manager. Just slightly,
because
like, you know what I mean?
I'm
So
sure
what was your
even
thoughts?
even even when they came out at the start, when the fans put a video up, he got into the dugout and he's high fiving everyone, and then it was like he was about to sit down, but he stood out at the steps and he let everyone go in. And I thought he's just going to let everyone sit down. He said at the edge, but he just stood at the top of the steps, and the dugout in Old Trafford, so he stood at the top, and Leicester just had half a chance there, and yeah, he stood there, and then he was down in the technical area and stuff like that. Um, yeah, no, I thought I like it. You know what I mean? I like it. Obviously, Ten Hag isn't as animated on the sideline as others. He would have been offside there anyway. He's not as animated as others, so it is. It's good to have that as well, you know. Shows his
I
passion
did.
for the club, and you need that. It's great to see back.
Yeah, I think the post match interview when he was there with Kane on the pitch and stuff like that and all, I thought that was kind of as much of personality as I've really seen of him since he's gotten at
Yeah,
United and
yeah,
stuff like that. He was shown a little bit and stuff like that. William, don't hang your hat on Mount at all. Mount and Fernandes are basically the same player, and it's two boys vying for the same bit of pitch space, the same kind of position and stuff like that. And it's either or, and it's going to be Fernandes. And I just think I wouldn't be hanging my hat on Mount at all, to be honest. I don't know what your thoughts are, Marky, but
yeah. No,
um,
we definitely need. Obviously, with Hoyland injured, Xerxes will probably start hopefully against Brighton on Saturday. I don't know the reason. Obviously, we played with the false striker in the Community Shield against City, and it did work to an extent, but that wasn't a great game. Like I said last week, it wasn't competitive. It was more like a friendly. So going into the first Premier League game of the season, where there was a bit more tempo to the game and competitiveness, I think we needed a striker up there from the start.
yeah, absolutely. So we move on. Lunchtime on Saturday, off the Portman Road, Ipswich Town versus Liverpool. I'm sure all you United fans in the chat were looking at this one as well with McKenna there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Carried himself very well. I think
yeah.
they had a really, really good 45 minutes, but I think they blew the gasket out a bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I think, yeah, you're right. Cause particularly the first half an hour, I think they played really well. They went at you, they caught you on the counter that time.
mm,
Hutchinson went forward, and it was a pretty poor effort. It was a comfortable save for Allison at the left hand side, low to his left hand side. But fair play to you, as dogged as he's kind of looked a little bit in the first half. He's came out, you're a different team in the second half, and some of the football was excellent. Like Jota's goal was just, the passing was unbelievable, you know, one touch passing, and that ball in behind the Ipswich left full for that led to the first goal was a brilliant ball. Um, little touch. I think the Salah get the last touch towards Jota, and he finished it then for the first
yeah,
goal.
Salah got an assist on the
Yeah,
goal, yeah.
and
Yeah.
then obviously Salah got a goal as well, and yeah, it was. It's one of those. It's a 12:30 on a Saturday, which we all slag is about, but it's a tough game, particularly going to Portman Road against a team that have they haven't been in the Premier League in a long time. The fans were well up for it. I was thinking draw me head, and that's not me slagging
Mm.
Liverpool or blah blah. It was just the whole story behind it, but it was an excellent win for you. Again, a clean sheet as well. They did test you at times. They had
Mm.
opportunities there. I think was it just before half time as well. They had another opportunity. Hutchinson is going to, I said it here last week, he's going to be a big danger man for them. He's excellent. He's very fast. He's tricky to mark and stuff, and he gets in behind defenders. He plays off their shoulders at times. So he's definitely one to watch this season. And it was a great win for you and a great start. And he's continued that now. I think he's a home game next week, isn't it? Against
Brentford.
Brentford, yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
it'd be,
I think,
imagine 6 out of 6
yeah.
points be a great start for Slot.
Yeah, I think what I took out of it, one, obviously it was pivotal for Slot to get off to a good start. He's obviously the first Liverpool manager in the Premier League era to win his opening Premier League game.
Yeah, I read that.
Believe it
That's a
or
mad
not, so
stat, isn't it?
interesting as
And come
well. And
here,
obviously, yeah.
who did Kenny Dalglish lose on the first game? I can't remember.
Well, it wasn't his first game; it was his first league game, and it was
League
Blackpool
game, yeah.
2-1. Yeah,
Yeah, all it
you know,
was.
you know who he beat in his first game, though, don't you?
Who was it? United.
2-1 in the cup. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. So don't get all too celebrationary there, yeah. Hold
Ah,
that, baby. But yeah, no, I looked at the game and I described it. I did a post match as well, went up today as well, and I did a preview as well. But I described it as being refreshing as well because Slot went in, wasn't happy at halftime, made the change. I'm a big Jarrell Kwanzaa fan. Everyone knows that. I fly his flag and stuff like that. But I think the lap was doing a number on him and it was exposing us a little bit. And the change had
yeah,
to be made. Kwanzaa wasn't happy at all, but he should learn from that, move on from it, and know what has to be done. But
definitely.
what I liked was that little bit of rootlessness in there. That listen, I'm not here to put my arm around you. I'm not here to hug you. All this kind of stuff. I'm here to tell you how it is. You're grown
Yeah,
professional
that's it.
footballers, and he
That's it.
made the change, and the change was massive. So it was really cool. The other thing that I really liked as well is typically we would have got Cody Gakpo coming on for Luis Diaz. But once the game was kind of done or wrapped up, if you like, at 2-0 in our grasp, all that kind of thing. He hooked Jota because he knows he has to protect him because he
Yeah,
does carry
yeah.
that injury-prone situation. And he put
One
Gakpo
one
on
all
and kept
good.
Lewis
Sorry,
Diaz.
Vardy free header at the back post there. 1-all. Great ball
Nice.
in from the right hand side, and literally, yeah, Jesus, some celebrations. But yeah, great ball across. There was just in before that ball came in from the left hand side from Leicester. Spurs, it just in between the Spurs back four and the keeper. No Leicester player got in. Came over to the right hand side. I don't know who got the cross in, but Vardy was at the back post, free header, and it's 1-all. 57 minutes played.
Very good. Thanks for the update.
Sorry
Brilliant.
for cutting
But
across you
no,
there.
no, 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 you're fine. Big up Rowan as well. Thanks for joining us tonight, pal.
All right,
Um,
dudes.
But that's what I was refreshed about, that he was making these kind of changes. And what I seen as well is tactically as well, where the chemistry wasn't there in the first half. You had little pockets of units then starting to play the way he wanted to play. And the
Yeah,
one thing I've been barking on about for at least 12 months was we had stopped these overlapping runs. So what he did was he took Diaz in tight, he took Salah in tight, and then you
yeah,
had that freedom there for Trent to do his thing, and then Robbo, and then obviously Costas came on. And look, we have identified on that left hand side, and we've spoke about it a lot, that it does need refreshing. That Robbo and Costas in that kind of combo kind of thing is not really what we want at the moment, and
yeah,
there probably needs to be a change. Hence the reason they're looking at the likes of Ignacio and stuff like that, and also, but we know it's there and stuff like that, and that's no slur on Robbo or Costas. They've been great servants for us and stuff like that and all,
yeah,
but there comes a time where it does need refreshing. So let's see how that goes, and if that can be done in the next week and a half or 2 weeks, we
yeah.
shall see. But yeah, really, 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 really interesting, and a really, really good result for us.
Big time.
And like I said, Mo Salah as well. You need to talk to me about Mo Salah. Now 9 goals from opening fixtures in the Premier League after
Yeah,
overtaking Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, and Frank Lampard, to name
and
but a few.
they just put a stat up there because Vardy is now on 8 from opening day games as well. So he's obviously one behind Salah. But what a what a stat to have, and as throughout the years, people question him and his contract, and is he going to go over to Saudi, or is he going here, there, and everywhere? He had a decent preseason from what he's seen, and obviously new hairstyle and stuff like that. But listen, he is a professional. He gets down and gets on with his business. I know after the African Nations Cup when he came back, it was a bit hit and miss for a few months, wasn't he? But you're gonna get some pieces of quality from him. He mightn't have a great game, but you're gonna get something out of him, and it's a great staff for him to have, and it's thoroughly deserved as well.
Yeah, and I think his interview after the game again was refreshing as well. He came out and he said, "We're trying to do things in a different way, but not
Yeah,
totally different.
yeah,
The training is kind of different," and he just described different stuff and all that.
yeah,
We know the bust up that was there at the end of the season. If I speak, there will be fire and all this
yeah,
kind of stuff. So obviously there was stuff going on there that he wasn't happy about.
yeah, exactly.
I'm sure in time we will find out what all these things were.
Exactly, and like
Um,
from you as a Liverpool fan, it probably sounds refreshing because there's always that fear when a new manager comes in that players won't get on with him. But it's like he's brought a new lease of life into the club, and like you said, changing up the training, and the players look happy. They can listen. We know this. The new manager bouncing this, that, and the other. But sometimes when you've had the success Klopp has had, it could backfire when a new manager comes in. Players don't really want to play for him. We've won everything we can as a club under the last manager. There's not much else to do, but he's come in and he's shown that a little change here and there to training. They look happier out there than a lot of other clubs I've seen that,
mm,
look at us under Moyes. We didn't look like that happy playing under him. We look very ragged at times and stuff, but listen, like anything, you think of transition when you hear of a new manager, especially after the amount of years Klopp was there. And I don't think he's going to have that problem like we did, in fairness. And listen, it's hard to judge after the first game, but like I said,
mm.
the players look happy, and the football against Ipswich was very good against a tough team on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll move on from that and see how it goes. More time, more training, all that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff. And I did like as well, a number of people were saying, I'm not sure whether you should call out players like that. I don't think he was calling out players. I think he was just stating the facts.
Yeah,
He
he's
could have
saying it as
easily
it is.
he could have easily come out and said, "Oh yeah, Jarrell picked up a bit of a knock or something like that." He could have
Yeah,
bullshitted
he
people,
covered it
but
up. Yeah, yeah,
he straight up and he turned around and he says, "Listen, he knows what he was doing wrong. We needed to change it to get hold of the game again and stuff like that. The lap was giving him a bit of a tough time.
yeah.
Hence, Omari Hutchinson was getting these chances and all. So we needed to change it. End of. That's it. And no one should
Showing a good
feel
manager.
aggrieved by it. It's sort of a good manager. He's a straight shooter. He's going to tell you how
Yeah,
it is. And I hope he just keeps that kind of level and that kind of, I hope he keeps that across the board. So if
yeah,
down the road it's a Van Dijk or a Salah or a Lewis Diaz or whatever it is, it's the
definitely.
same kind of energy. And
Yeah,
that's what I want. Del Boy's in the chat. Big up, Del Boy. Welcome
hell yeah,
back to the
Del boy.
station again. Good to see you in there, mate. We got to do a few shows, Del. So hit me
Come
up.
on, the
Get a few
Arteta.
shows.
Come on, the Arteta.
That's it. Win the dog and all that. Next up then
Is he?
was not.
That, that was a good little segue, Del boy. Fair play to you. Look at the next one coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not next. Also, next up, actually, yeah, we can go to that one. Actually, I had something up, but we'll go to Arsenal and Wolves. Sure. Why not?
Oh, sorry, I was just going
Um,
off the list there on the old screen because
yeah, no, don't worry about it. No, it's fine. Sometimes it's different to what's up here, but it's grand. So, obviously, on 25 minutes, Kai Havertz getting off the mark, Saka with the assist. I wasn't expecting Wolves to be as tough and not to crack. I
yeah,
thought with losing Kilman and a number of other players kind of with their mind elsewhere and losing Pedro Neto and all this
yeah,
kind of thing, I would have thought it'd be reasonably easy. Now we know Gary O'Neill, you're not going to walk all over Gary O'Neill no matter who he
no,
has. He's going to set
100%.
them up. But it took till the 74th minute, Saka with a beautiful goal, Kai Havertz with the assist,
Yeah,
to make it 2-0. And at that stage, then it was kind of safe to the point where Gary O'Neill then got booked in the 87th minute himself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the way it goes. What was your thinking on Arsenal? First look at them, really.
Yeah, I thought they played well. Obviously, Wolves made it difficult for them, and Wolves actually created a good few chances, even from the free kick early on. Thought Larson played well. Gomez had a decent game as well, coming in off the left. Raya had to pull off a fantastic one-handed save when he was going left and it went to the right-hand side. But I think Arsenal, when Arsenal went 1-0 up, obviously Wolves still causing problems, but you just felt anytime Arsenal were going forward that they could score. And Saka with an unbelievable finish cutting in on the right-hand side, in on his left foot and score. Listen, we know what you can do. He's such a talented young lad, and obviously he got the assist. Again, I talked about balls being put into the box for United on the Friday night. That was an excellent ball put in by Saka for Havertz's goal on Saturday afternoon, and it just shows you the difference in quality. But yeah, excellent win again. Good start to the season for them at home, 2-0. They didn't concede, even though Wolves were putting a lot of pressure on them. And yeah, they've a tough game against Villa coming up this weekend at 5:30 as well. So they'll get a lot of confidence for that win from that win, first game of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's it's still bearing true for me at the moment. I called it that they'd probably go back into the season with that Havertz in that position and they wouldn't be
Yeah,
signing a
yeah,
forward.
yeah.
And I
I
know it'll
remember.
drive them mad and stuff like
Yeah,
that. I've
I
been
remember
saying
we
it all
talked
along.
about it last week or the week before.
Yeah,
You said that
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you were right. Spot on,
yeah.
man.
So, it'll be interesting to see if they do. Up next, big win for Brighton away at Goodison, Everton 3-0.
Yeah,
Matoma, Welbeck, and a Dingre with the goals.
yeah.
Obviously, a red card for Ashley Young made life a lot more difficult. And obviously Tarkovsky getting booked as well, so he had to be careful as well. But what's your fear for Everton at the moment? This is going to be tough, isn't it? They're after losing Onana. The chances are we've been heavily linked with Bram White now recently. I think Sky
Yeah,
Bet slashed the odds to 4-5 on there last
yeah.
night. Word
Seen
coming
that.
out and stuff like that there might be a deal in place for that. And talk today that a bid might have been launched, that stuff is agreed and all this. So we'll see what happens there. But surely if they lose Bram White as well, they're going to be in big trouble, aren't they?
Absolutely. Like they were relying on Michael Keane on Saturday. He sorry, someone's he's not the quickest. But in fairness to Everton, if you watch the game from Saturday, the first 20 minutes they started off very, very brightly. They had I think it was Jack Harrison cut in and had an opportunity. But then Brighton went up and hit the post a few minutes later, and I think from then on in, it was mainly all Brighton, and they played really good football. They got around everything. They got into the little pockets of space where they needed to be, and yeah, Matoma with an absolute worldy of a finish. Welbeck as well, I thought was excellent. He was everywhere. It was a great finish by him, and I think he was instrumental in the third goal and one of the passes as well. And
The
obviously
assist.
Ashley Young, yeah, Ashley Young. Listen, um, yeah, listen, he got caught for pace. He got the wrong side. He pulled him down. It's a straight red card, but you know he has that bit of experience. He thought he might have got away with maybe yellow, but he was the last man. And listen, I was talking to one of the lads, Dave. He's an Everton fan. He was saying a lot of the Everton forums were giving Sean Dyche stick on Saturday, but look what he achieved last season with everything that went against him in terms of the deductions and points and yeah,
And,
so
and potentially more on the way is the
exactly,
thought.
and he put
You
up
know?
with a hell of a lot last season and went on a good run to make sure they stay safe. And yeah, it's not a great start to the season, but there was bright little sparks there. Like I said, the first 20 minutes I thought everything played very well, but it's when Brighton went the other end, hit the post, that they see the pressure start mounting. And like you said, Tarkowski, he's that type of, he's on the yellow card. He can't go in the way he wants to go in. He's one of the,
Mm,
from playing for Deutsch, for Burnley and stuff. You see him, he'd be
mm,
going through the back of players and stuff. So
yeah.
he wasn't able to do that. And yeah, it was it was lucky it was only 3-0 at the end, because Brighton did have a few other chances when Everton went down to 10 men. So it's
Mm.
going to be a tough start for Everton fans.
Yeah, I think when I look at Everton, and I've said this before, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I wouldn't like Everton to get relegated. I love the Merseyside derbies.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the city itself needs the two teams. Beautiful
100%.
stadium being built down on the docks at the moment and all, and it really, really does need it. But you look at that Everton side at the moment, you've got a collection of players in there at the moment. Some are subpar, they're just not up to it.
Yeah,
Some, it feels as if their mind is elsewhere.
yeah.
It feels as if their mind is elsewhere. And it's a real concern because this is their last season at Goodison. And hardly this is the season that they will get relegated now, is it? With that beautiful
Oh,
stadium coming
yeah,
online next season and stuff like that and all. And wouldn't that just be the case when it happens?
yeah.
But I think for Everton, I think Everton need to be so careful at the moment because being down there with that pressure in that bottom area and stuff like that and all. And, if you're relying on the likes of Ashley Young, if you're relying on the likes of Michael Keane, and no disrespect to Seamus Coleman either, who's,
Holgate as well, Mason Holgate as well at the back,
you're relying on a lot of lads that, they don't feel like they're Deutsch players either.
Mm,
That kind of way
yeah,
where if you're digging in and you're in the trenches, are you going to make it happen? And I think, as you said, last season was just an absolute miracle, really.
yeah,
And then Dell making the point there again, Jake O'Brien didn't start either as well and stuff.
yeah.
So it's,
Unbelievable.
yeah,
Ooh, Vardy just had a chance there. Yeah, I was very surprised with that. Jake, fantastic player, has done really well, obviously over in France, and he I thought he would have walked straight into that team, and he picks Keane ahead of him, and you're looking at it going. And apparently, from what Dave was saying, a lot of the Everton forums were asking the exact same question. That they were baffled as to why he didn't start again.
yeah. Yeah, and it's tough getting off to a start like that, especially when the spotlight is already on you. Talk of more points deduction,
Yeah,
not getting off to a good start, players not really up to it, Young getting sent off, players with their mind elsewhere. You know what I mean? It's
he'll be
not a great
suspended
it's
now
not
for
a
the next few games as well.
yeah,
Young,
yeah. It's not a great recipe. Not a great recipe at all. Let's move on anyway. Newcastle versus Southampton. Newcastle picking up the points. Joe Linton with an assist from Alexander Isaac. But of course, this game was all about Ben Brereton Diaz and Fabian Schär. And we'll talk about it in Ref Watch. We won't cover that now.
yeah,
But overall, and I think Darren called this last week. I thought this would have been an easier day at the office for Newcastle. Darren said on the preview that he thought it would be quite a tight game and a difficult game. I didn't see that at all, but there you go. But I'm not sure
yeah.
whether it was Like obviously with Shara getting sent off and stuff like that,
Yeah,
Newcastle made it very difficult for themselves, really.
yeah, and it's so early in the game as well. Because what was it, the 24th or 25th minute he got sent off, wasn't it?
28 minute, yeah,
28 minute,
28
yeah.
minute, yeah.
So you look at it and think, right, and then to go 1-0 up and hold on to it. Obviously, listen, Southampton were throwing everything at Newcastle towards the end. They had a free header in the injury time then, and obviously Pope goes down on the ball, and um he he wastes a bit of time. But yeah, no, difficult game. But listen, the sending off definitely changed it. You know, Newcastle, you probably think would have won by a few other goals, and obviously Diaz missed a few chances after every touch he got. He was just booed by the Newcastle fans after what had happened. So, listen, he's going to I don't know if they should be able to appeal the sending off then as well for sure, and I think they'll win that appeal if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, again, good start from them. I had them in my last man standing, so I was a bit nervy when I was looking at it on Saturday and seeing the early sending off, and I was thinking, oh, here I'm going to be out at the first round of games. But thankfully they held on and they played really well. So it was a great 3 points in the end.
Yeah, just still 1-1 at the moment. 73 minutes gone. Bentancur down injured, receiving
Yeah,
treatment.
head
But
injury from corner.
this game could go either way at the moment. So hopefully Bentancur's all right. Missed large parts of last season as well with that injury and stuff. So
Yeah, just a
hopefully
head
he's
injury
okay.
there, and obviously with that now, depending how long this takes, could be 8, 9, 10 minutes added on at the end then as well. So yeah, hopefully the lads
Absolutely.
are all right.
Yeah. What are you making of Newcastle at the moment? What you're thinking? Like lots of talk of maybe Bruno Guimaraes linked with a move away, this kind of thing, be big money, of course, and stuff like that. But they haven't really done a huge amount of business, really, have they?
No, they haven't, and reading from some of the Newcastle fans are saying it's very frustrating, and obviously they'll have to sell players to get players in, and Bruno is probably the biggest asset that they can sell, and doesn't seem like there's much movement at the minute. You know, when considering what is it, probably 10 days, 2 weeks now till the transfer window closes or whatever it might be. You know, so it is frustrating from them. You remember all the talk about when the owners came in, oh, we're going to bet this, that, and the other. You know, there was this expectation of what players they were, Mbappe and all was linked with them. You know, that was never going to happen, but this was the kind of talk that was going on, and you're into the second season now of this regime, or third season, whatever it may be now, and it's frustrating for them. Um, the Champions League football was brilliant to have. What a buzz and all last season. They don't have that again this season. A lot of injuries last season. I think Pope coming back is going to be massive for them. They missed him a lot last season. The Brevnik
Mm.
is a good keeper, but he's not what Pope is. He doesn't bring that stability I think Pope has. So it's frustrating. Callum Wilson again missed a hell of a lot of games last season. Isaac was out as well. So it's they're shining light last season for me was Anthony Gordon, and they held on to him. Obviously, well, they will hang on to him now. I can't see him going anywhere this season. But
Mm.
for me, he was the shining light. But yeah, it's frustrating for them. But they do need to sell before they get anyone in, so they'd want to do that pretty quick, obviously for financial fair play, because they won't have much time.
Yeah, I think the issue for them as well is, and it's an interesting conundrum because they've all the money in the world. Apparently, they're the richest owners in the league. But the
Yeah,
problem they have is they need to grow Newcastle's brand and revenues and all this kind of stuff, before that money comes into play and stuff like that. And it's a real,
yeah.
real problem for them. Um, Ted is saying Bentancur is still down. This is looking quite
They're,
serious.
they're after
Um,
there's the medical team are after sitting them up.
hmm,
I've seen them. There's obviously everyone around them. The ambulance lads are there. One of the medical team is talking to him at the minute. I'm just seeing that's after cutting away. I was just seeing is he reacting, but they have him sitting up anyway. But the serious looks on Madison's face and stuff there. Yeah, he's moving. He's alert. He has a mask on him. He's rubbing his face there. Yeah, he is alert at the minute. He's sitting up. Obviously, he'll be stretchered off anyway, and a change will be made. Yeah, he's putting himself onto the stretcher, which is a good sign. Obviously, they'll take him in and give him a check. See, is he all right? But yeah,
yeah,
he's alert by the looks of it anyway. Probably concussed,
good.
but He's after putting
Hopefully he's
himself into
okay.
the stretcher, which is a good sign. So yeah, please God, he's all right.
Hopefully okay. Yeah, absolutely. A man who's had tough injury times at Spurs. So. Next up, Forest 1, Bournemouth 1. These are two teams we spoke about in terms of relegation picks and stuff
Yeah,
like that and all. Obviously, Bournemouth losing Solanke and those goals is absolutely massive. Forest under Nuno, still not a match made in heaven, really. But Chris Wood got them off the mark on 23 minutes. Obviously, Semenyo laid on 86 minutes, grabbing the equaliser for Bournemouth. And Bournemouth maybe could have stole it somewhat.
yeah,
But the match obviously was marred by obviously the injury to Danilo.
yeah,
Really, really bad injury, bone nearly protruding type of stuff, all this kind of
yeah,
thing. So obviously we wish him well. We're gonna talk about that in Ref Watch. Because we want to talk about that whole rule of not flagging the offside and letting play continue and all that kind of stuff and all, yeah. Ted is saying he was out cold from when it first happened. Yeah, absolutely. Well, at least he's back
He
again.
seems
What?
all right. You know, well, not all right, but he's alert anyway and sitting up,
Yeah,
which is always a good sign. I've had that happen on the pitch a few times. So,
yeah.
once you can sit up and you can actually talk to them.
What you make of these two then? Forest and Bournemouth.
Yeah, no, Forest, obviously, the game was stopped for a while. It takes the momentum out of the game when a serious injury like that happens. And it's tough on the players, particularly the Forest players, to see um, your teammate down and the severity of the injury as well, particularly when they came out with the towels and covered it up from all four sides. So you knew it was pretty serious. And you have to say fair play to them for getting on with it. Chris Wood with a great finish. He'll definitely get them a lot of goals this season as well. Um, but Bournemouth kept plugging away, and I think it was the 86th minute they scored. From I wouldn't say against the run of play at all. I thought they were in the game at that stage, and they
Mm.
could have went on and won it. So again, they're such a hard team to play against. But I was talking to Rowan before it, and we were going because I was picking out my team for last man standing. We were going through some of it, and I think he said Bournemouth, but I was saying no, I could see that being a draw. And yeah, that's exactly what it was. And listen, it's a good point for each of them, I think, on the opening day of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, then we had 5:30. One I was really looking forward to: West
Yeah.
Ham versus Aston Villa, finishing 2-1 to Aston Villa. The goals, of course, if you didn't want Everton getting into even more bother, Onana scoring
Oh
the
man,
opener after
yeah.
4 minutes. Tillemans with the assist. Duran rounding it out on 79, and Lucas Paqueta with a penalty in between to make it 2-1. West Ham, both these teams really went at it, I have to say. Lots of good stuff to look at there as well and stuff like that. And again, kind of trying to pull it together and figure it out. And obviously with Villa, making some of these signings and players obviously gone, moving on from Douglas Luiz and players like that and all. Obviously, you have to try and figure out things at time and all. But that's a massive win for Aston Villa down at West Ham, isn't it? First day of the season.
Yeah, and first half an hour, when you look at it, Villa could have been 2-3-0 up. West Ham
Mm.
at the back were all over the place. They were very open. They, obviously, when you look at Onana's goal, it's a free header in the 6 yard box. I know he's a big lad, but there was no one around him, and it's a free header from a corner in the 6 yard box. McGinn had a great opportunity. He put one just past the post, and I think they hit the outside of the post end. So West Ham looked like they were struggling, and they really did, but they got themselves back into it. Like you said, they scored the penalty and stuff, but yeah, I thought West Ham would have been better. I think if they had been stronger at the back and playing out the back and keeping a little bit tighter midfield, they might have been potentially been able to take a point out of it. That kind of had a draw written all over it to me, if I'm being honest with you. But what a fantastic win for Villa it was, and again, like I said, they've a tough. How are you? What's the story, Spud? Yeah, they've a tough game against Arsenal on Saturday afternoon. On I think it's 5:30 kickoff on Saturday evening. Sorry, so but great win. But yeah, West Ham, they need to look at themselves. They were very bad at the back. I would have been expecting a little more from them.
Ted wants to know, what did you make of the penalty? Seemed a little soft.
Yeah, I
Did.
think I think he won the ball, and it's just a tangle of legs. Personally, I wouldn't have given it. obviously there was minimal contact, but the referees decided to give it. So I don't know. I felt like I said I wouldn't have given it myself. And first of all, when I seen it, I thought to myself, oh, that's a penalty because I didn't see him winning the ball. I thought he just went straight through the back of him and brought him down in that sense. But he's got a nick on the ball and their legs. It was just like I said, a tangle and a coming together. So for me, it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah. Right, let's go into Sunday then. Brentford versus Crystal Palace. Brentford winning 2-1 in Buemo and Vissa having a great game. Vissa getting a goal to win it, and Buemo with the first goal, Vissa with the assist, and then Pinnock with an OG. Are we staring down the barrel of a tough Crystal Palace season with the players that they've lost? And players they could potentially lose as well. Obviously, they played Gahey at the weekend. He played.
Yeah, which
So
not a lot
which
of
was
people would have seen coming, like
yeah.
Um, I didn't. Listen. I think if we'll probably talk about it in a few minutes, I think one of the decisions by the referee might have changed the game slightly. If Palace take the lead there and continue the form, I think. Listen, I don't think they're going to struggle this season by any means. Yes, there's going to be adjustments and changing in person the personnel. Who hasn't helped either. When you lose the players like Elise and stuff like that, and you don't replace them, you will struggle. But Brentford, on the other hand, it was a great win for them, great start. Obviously, they need to improve on what happened last time. Um, they haven't really been. And listen, there's a shadow hanging them over with the whole Tony situation as well. As a club, they want to sell him and get the money and be able to invest that money into the squad. But there's no one taking the bait because apparently he's looking for 250,000 a week, which I hear. So no one's gonna kind of stump up that kind of money for them. So they're kind of stuck in a catch-22 situation where
Mm.
they have a striker there they don't want, but if, like I said, they need the money to invest and they can't do it because of the players' demands and his wages. So it's very frustrating for them.
Yeah, being excluded from the squad, and then of course links are emerging today. Might be linked to the Saudi league and stuff like that, and also be
And listen,
interesting
if
to
they,
see.
yeah, it'd be interesting. And if the Saudis want to pay 250 a week, they, by all means do. But I just think I feel for them because that deal could go over the line on the last day, and they have no time to reinvest until January. Then.
Yeah, and the fact that he was out of the squad, I mean, they excluded him on Saturday or Sunday or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously their indication is that he's looking for a new club and they have to move on basically. And obviously they'd like it sooner rather than later, but it'd be real disappointing if he left the Premier League, wouldn't it?
Hmm.
I mean,
A little bit,
I'd love
like,
to see him I'd love to see him at a top six club and see
like
what happens.
100%. Listen, I think he slot well into that Arsenal team. Obviously, they need a striker. I don't know how Craig in the chat feels, but I think he'd slot really well into that team. Natural goal scorer. The players you have around. Imagine Saka and all getting balls into him and stuff, and the amount of goals he get. Um, Obviously, he wouldn't have to move out of London either, out where he's living and stuff. So that always helps. But yeah, listen, it's very frustrating for Thomas Frank because, like I said, he wants to obviously improve on last season. Did it in different season last season, and he can't really, he has that kind of lingering problem in the background of Tony still being there and the press around it and not being able to get money for him. So I think hopefully a deal be done sooner rather than later for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the 4:30, the first Super Sunday, we Chelsea entertaining Man City at the Bridge, the beginning of the Maresca era. I was actually waiting with bated breath yesterday to see what Chelsea starting 11 would be. That's
Yeah, I
how
think
that's how
everyone was.
interested I
Yeah,
was and stuff like that. But Man City running out 2-0 winners. Lots of interesting decisions in this game from a ref's point of view. Again, if you want to mention some of them during our ref watch, we'll take a look. But Holland getting off the mark on 18 minutes. Bernardo Silva with the assist. But of course, Cucurella just bouncing off him, and after that little song he
the
sang,
video. Yeah,
yeah, you need to be really careful. And then Mateo Kovacic, uh, ex Chelsea, with a pile driver in the 84th minute as well. Poor from Sanchez as well. At that level, you got to save those, don't you?
yeah, absolutely. Especially on your right hand side near post. Particularly, I thought when he was running with it, I thought he was getting too much space, and then I was like, "Is he going to hit it?" And then he hits it. I know the defender was in the way, but he's still far enough out, and if you're a half decent keeper, you're going to get a hand to it and hopefully palm it out for a corner or maybe to one of your fullbacks, you know. So I thought Chelsea played very well at times as well. I was expecting, you know, I thought Lavia had a great game as well. I thought I was like you, you know, you're waiting before kickoff to see the team and what they're going to do. But yeah, listen, Haaland back to his old tricks. Obviously, it went to VAR. Silva was onside, and yeah, I was texting my mate Duffer. He was down a longitude. He's a big Chelsea fan. I was texting him. I was like, I've a good feeling about you today. You know, he's either draw or get a win, but yeah, it wasn't to be. And yeah, some of the decisions, Chelsea had a few penalty shouts as well, which we'll talk about now in a few minutes or whatever. So that could have changed the game on its head as well, which would be disappointing from a Chelsea point of view. You know.
Yeah, I think when I looked at it, I looked at the team on paper, and the team on paper is a really, really good team. But then when you see it on the pitch, you have Enzo in there. I'm not sure what he is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And he played him. Played him on Sunday in that position that Poch tried, and it didn't work, which
Yeah.
was kind of weird as well. You had Nkunku really out wide.
Wait,
You
yeah.
had Jackson kind of in the center, and I still believe Jackson is not that out and out striker. I believe he's kind of more of a link up player.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
100%.
would have been playing Nkunku a little bit more central, and
Yeah.
Jackson just playing off him, and I
Awesome.
think that might have worked better. But there was just little glaring things there that you could see as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's
Jackson. Yeah, you're right. He's not an out and out striker, and that's something Chelsea could look at as well. I just spoke about Arsenal,
mm.
but that's definitely something Chelsea could look at. You know.
You know the way when we talk about Bruno and Mount and how they take up that space together, and it clashes a bit. I
Yeah.
find it's very much the same as well when he plays Enzo in that position, and you've Cole Palmer as well. It's kind of like they're nearly crowding it out, and you can't really do what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they're going to have to try and figure that out. And obviously, Maresca in there, first game, and you know yourself, when you go into the Chelsea hot seat, the pressure is on straight away as well. We
Oh,
seen
big
Bowley
time.
walking
Get
off
up
in a
and
huff
walk
after the
off. Yeah.
second goal as well. You know what I mean? So, but we'll see what happens. But Chelsea for me this season are going to be so interesting. I think once they figure it out and kind of get it together, um, I think they'll do okay. I think they might be all right. You know, they
Yeah.
certainly have the quality is there, and now we hear that Joe Felix is a here we go, so he's coming in as of this evening. So obviously
Yeah.
Gallagher's going to take the plane ride to Madrid again, and this time it's going to be done.
Done again. Yeah.
I would imagine
190.
so. Gallagher out, Felix coming in, and there's also talk that they might crash that Usman situation as well. So let's see what happens there. But
Be interesting.
there was a lot of interesting calls yesterday. You know, and we'll talk about it in the ref watch situation about sort of penalties and various things like that and all. But certainly interesting and kind of. I don't think there was any major surprises at the weekend. I think obviously the big one obviously was, Brighton beating Everton so comprehensively, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the other things kind of pittered out the way we thought they might go. There's no major surprise looking at the table, with the
Yeah.
exception of Brighton up there because of the goals and stuff like that. I tell you now, folks, there's going to be a lot of time on this, so it's 1-1. They're in the 90th minute on this, but I haven't seen yet what they're talking about. If they put up Anton yet for minutes, but 9 minutes of
No,
injury time coming, folks. 9 minutes.
that's
Leicester on the attack here. Dangerous attack here for Leicester as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as it goes and stuff like that, and keep you updated if a goal goes in. Just a shot on target there for the Ndidi goalkeeper save. So we'll keep you posted on it. Ted's in, Craig's in. Wanted Isaac apparently, and that's a no from Newcastle. Can't see us going for Tony. Too expensive for his wage. I think there was conversations Craig had with Tony and his representatives, and I think Arsenal walked away. I don't think they were convinced from what they heard. I think I mentioned it on the show here a few weeks ago that there had been a meeting and they didn't fancy it. So we'll see what happens. I think
interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal just stick, which I know will frustrate you guys as fans. 3 years of looking for a striker, and
Striker, yeah.
whether you're going to be armed enough to go in. So far, Calafiori's in there. And obviously it looks like the boy from Sociedad, Moreno, is potentially coming in. And then after that, God knows, there's been links with Usman, links with other players and stuff. Ref Watch need a big time for the Chelsea game. Yeah, absolutely. We will talk about
Was
it.
big game changer. I
Um,
guess who just come on for Spurs? Real mate,
uh, I haven't seen it. Who was it?
Richarlison.
Jeez, give me a break with it. Jesus. What are they doing? Shoring up a 1-1 or something, are they? Awful. Craig, awful by Chelsea midfield as well for that Kovacic goal.
100%.
Yeah. 200 odd million, and he walks through them. Yeah. He did walk through them and stuff like that and all. And it's,
That's what I said. Like I was saying there, like he was just going and going. I was like, now I'm closing him down, and then he sticks his foot through it. Now it wasn't the cleanest of shot either. Like,
it wasn't. And in fairness, if that's Allison or if that's Ederson or one of those top keepers in the league, that's saved. That's
yeah, yeah,
saved. That was really, really soft and poor. And it's kind of been a bit of their Achilles heel as well, hasn't it? Because when you think about
definitely,
it.
definitely.
Right, let's get into a bit of ref watch. Let's talk. I wanted to talk to you about the Danilo one,
Yes,
and how play is allowed go when it's fairly, like, we had a conversation about it in our WhatsApp group as well at the weekend, about when it's absolutely obvious. And I think we seen one yesterday as well, did we? In the Chelsea game, where there was an offside, and it went on for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then
yeah,
he
yeah.
eventually flagged for it or something like that. Something crazy, anyway. What you're thinking on this? Because we have spoke before about when you continue on to play like that when it's blatantly offside. We've often spoken about someone's going to get badly injured
Yeah,
because
yeah,
tackles fly
100%.
in and stuff happens, stuff like that. But it's a bit of a conundrum, this rule, isn't it, as well? Because if you flag too early and you get it wrong,
It
then you're
is.
getting all sorts of. So give me
Yeah,
your thoughts on it. Obviously, we wish Danilo all the best in his recovery.
100%.
I'm sure he's going to be
Absolutely.
at least gone for the season, and we hope he's
Yeah.
okay and that
We,
it can all be repaired and stuff like that and all. Yeah,
we've had conversations out in Abbottstown referee meetings about this, and it's basically it's down to the assistant referee, in terms of flagging. Now, what we had said before, if someone's offside, if they're a good 2 yards offside or even a yard and a half, clearly offside, you flag straight away because it's obvious. It's if it's a hairline, you might say, right, we'll let the play go and see, because it's, you have to understand from an assistant referee point of view, the game is played so fast and you're in line with the last defender. It's very, very difficult. And we've seen Carragher and Neville do it on one of their shows. They train to be a referee and assistant referee. It
yeah,
is very difficult. So for the hairline decision, as we say, you let the play go on. Now, the question is, how long do you let it go on for? We've seen where attackers go through and go where it's a hairline decision, and like the keeper will come out and upend them, and there might be an injury. So, as a referee, you're letting the play on to see, is there giving the attacker an advantage, not an advantage, but to see what the attacker will do. So it is frustrating. Like I said, the obvious ones are flagged straight away, but even for the obvious ones, they don't flag straight away now, which is very frustrating. And we've had this conversation, and I think it was Jeff Winter. Someone was over for in Abbey Street chatting to us all, and he was saying the same thing. That's ridiculous. Like if you're a yard and a half or 2 yards offside, it's obvious to the naked eye. So it's frustrating because I know as a fan as well. Like if your like player gets injured from it, you're blaming the official straight away. And Danilo, that's such an unfortunate one that happened. And like you said, wish him a speedy recovery. Sorry,
yeah.
Spurs just went on the attack there. Just Leicester
Yeah,
keepers
but I
at the
suppose I
burner.
suppose yesterday you look at the Chelsea one as well, where the ball came over the top, I think, and I think it might have been Jackson. I'm not too sure on that side, but he was miles offside. Now, I
Yeah, yeah,
mean, like you could have put 10 players in between him and the line,
yeah,
I'd say, and he picked up the ball and he played on and he played on. I think he played on for about, might have been maybe 2 minutes or something like that, but it seemed like a lifetime because everyone was sitting back going, "This is just going to be flagged." And we were waiting for it to
yeah.
be flagged, and we were waiting for it to be flagged, and we were waiting for it to be flagged.
Oh,
And
it's
eventually,
it's
eventually he flagged for it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
no, it is. It's one of those, and I heard a rumor. I don't know how true or not. John Moss is obviously up in Scotland, and he's helping the referees out up there. And it's something that they've talked about up there is to stop it, when it's obvious and see. But they have to test it out, and surely there's a better way than letting it play on, especially if it's that obvious and blatant. Just wave the flag. No one's gonna, like, if you know it's blatant and you're a fan and the referee or the assistant referee does that, you're not gonna go mad at him. You're gonna fair play. You're using common sense. But like the other
mm,
hand, it's a joke. Like to let it play on and play on and play on.
yeah.
If it's obvious, it makes the officials look stupid, and
Mm.
it makes a mockery of the game as well, in my opinion.
What did you make of the SA free kick? Obviously, you alluded to it earlier in the Crystal Palace game.
Yeah, listen, it was a good free kick. The goalkeeper was in no man's land, but yeah, he's obviously thought he's seen a foul. Nathan Collins and Will Hughes, but he's blown the whistle as the ball is obviously heading towards the goal. So because of that, his decision stands that it's a free. Now, if you watch the replay, Nathan Collins actually fails Hughes first, and he tries to go around as he's losing his balance, and it looks like Hughes has failed Collins. So in that case, if the goal had gone in without Sam blowing his whistle, VAR could have looked at it and awarded the goal, saying, right, it was actually Collins that initiated the foul on Will Hughes. So goal stands, no foul, goal stands. But because he's blown the whistle for the free kick before the ball's hit the net, they can't go to VAR, and it's down to his own decision on field.
Mm.
And he knows he's got it wrong, and he's obviously apologised to the player, to the manager, and the staff at Crystal Palace. But what gets me as well, I think, from a referee's point of view, if you look at some of the decisions after that, they weren't great. I think I've had that situation in a match where you're actually still thinking about that decision. You're in the game, but your mind is going back there because you've made a mistake, and that's all you can think about. And the decisions after that are kind of blurred as well because you're thinking about it's a tough one because you're not fully concentrating on the rest of the game because you're actually thinking of that one moment. I've had that on the pitch myself, and I just felt that Sam had that on the pitch on Sunday then.
Yeah. Just there, Richarlison had a chance to nick it for Spurs. Shot off target, 90 plus 9 minutes there. So we keep an eye on it. It's probably getting pretty close to blowing up now. They're basically in the 100th minute now at this stage. So,
Yeah, it was
talk to me about
yeah.
the Chelsea game. There was a couple of interesting decisions in terms of penalties that didn't happen. Taylor was it refereeing yesterday, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
Taylor was
Yeah, it
refereeing,
was,
yeah,
yeah,
and
it
it was
was
kind of
Pele, yeah,
it was kind of the match just ended 1-1, by the way. It was a weird kind of refereeing because kind of he was kind of blown for stuff, and then it would happen again, and he wasn't blown for it, and he was giving it one way and the other way, and all that. But what did you make also? I mean, Kovacic obviously with the handball in the
yeah.
box came off his elbow, his arm was out, hit his
Yeah.
elbow and stuff like that. I know there's a slight rule or a slight change this season, isn't there, to that situation?
There
Mm.
is, and there was a law in there before as well. For I know people had called it cop out before, but it's about proximity of the ball to the player. Like if you're a yard away and the ball's coming at you and your arm is in an unnatural position, but you're trying to get it closer to your body, the time and the speed of the ball and the proximity of where it's coming from, you take that into consideration. For me though, Kovacic's arm now, again, this is interpretation of the law. You use kind of common sense. To me, his arm was in too much of an unnatural position. It didn't feel like he was trying to get it back into a natural position quick enough, and it's obviously out here and it's hit his elbow. So for me, when I first initially seen it, I thought it was a penalty, and then I seen the um, replays, and I also thought it was a penalty. But what I do see is where the referee is coming from in terms of using that law to his advantage of saying about proximity and stuff like that. So I can see why it wasn't given, but in my personal opinion, I would have given it. And
Yeah,
no, he's not a new he refereed a good few games last season as well, in the league, towards the latter stages of the league and stuff like that. So he does have experience. But yeah, no, Ted, it is. it does play in your mind, and I can see why even the rest of the game. I think there was an incident later on in the game, I think, where it could have been a possible red card, and he only gave the yellow and stuff like that. So I can see from my own personal point of view, I remember refereeing matches, and you get it wrong, and you know you've gotten it wrong, and it just plays on your mind, and you can't really fully concentrate and probably give the best of your ability to the rest of the game, which is unfortunate, but it's just a human thing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
But
yeah.
I agree with you, Ted. He had a shocker. Like, he did have a shocker. I think some of the decisions. Now you look at some of them. I think it was Enzo that what he went down in the box. There wasn't much contact, minimal contact, if anything. So I can see why that wasn't the penalty. But yeah, I think the handball in particular was one where I just felt it could have been given.
Yeah, I thought there was about 4 decisions yesterday, and I thought out of the 4, I thought 2 he got right, and I thought 2 he could have had a look at.
Yeah.
I also seen the one as well. Remember when Haaland put the studs down Levi Colwell's leg
Yes, yeah,
as
that was
well, which was
that was in the second half, wasn't it? Just in Chelsea's box that time. Yeah, if yeah, it's one of those. It's borderline. If there's more excessive force on it, studs were definitely shown. There's no doubt about it. He made contact with him, but yeah, it could have been, like I said, more excessive force. It could have been a straight red,
yeah.
and it could have
Could
changed the
kind of
game as well.
yeah, could have felt if kind of felt like a disjointed refereeing performance because kind of he was trying to let the game play. He was trying to let the game flow. But then he wasn't blowing up for what he should blow up for. And then he was blowing up for stuff where he should have let the game flow. And it was kind of weird. So it just seemed in an awful lot of decisions he was making, he was either getting it wrong or he just wasn't consistent.
Yeah,
And it
but
was causing a
I
lot of
think,
frustration, you know?
yeah, I think. Listen, but I think we've seen with Anthony Taylor over the years. He isn't that consistent. If we're completely being honest, he can make rash decisions as well. He gets a lot of stick from every fans and fellow referees alike. So he's one of those characters, So he's not. He's not. He doesn't do himself any favors, let's say, with some of the decisions he makes over the course of the season. But you know yourself, I do always say in here, you're not from Taylor to Sam to whoever, Michael Oliver, whoever it may be, you're not going to get consistency over a season because it's them interpreting the laws and it's their
Yeah.
own spin on things. So you're not going to get that consistency that the fans do look
Well,
for,
you see, that's the frustrating thing because we'll go into match week 2 now this week, and you'll get lads that'll barrel into the back of people in the box, and it'll be a penalty. So
Yeah.
Ted's talking there about the Enzo one. Obviously, he miscontrolled it and it wasn't in control. I think if the ball was at his feet, it's a penalty all day.
Yeah,
But I
if the
think
ball
because
is
the
closer
opportunity
to
had
his
gone.
body, yeah, it's moving away from him. So yeah, no, 100%, you can see why it wasn't
How,
given.
how do you interpret that as a ref? So if you're refereeing this moment here, like I suppose where Ted's coming from, and we spoke about it yesterday again on WhatsApp, he was talking about he still barreled into him, so he still backed into him and hit him, and and he went down. So as a ref, do you still call that like if that's anywhere else on the pitch, is that a free kick? Are you giving a free kick for it?
I listen. The rule I always use is if you think it's a free kick outside of the box, it's a penalty. You can't use that, saying of, oh no,
Mm,
it wasn't enough to give a penalty. It should be, but then there's times it's hard. It's hard to judge it because you try to explain it to someone who's never picked up a whistle. And I've had this conversation with
mm,
friends and that. It's a gut feeling that that you go with. You go with your gut and think, right, he wasn't in control of the ball. The ball's going to wherever it may be. If it was Ederson was coming out or whatever, the players hit him. It's a coming together. The ball's already gone, so not a penalty for me. That's what you kind of go through in that instance. But
mm.
not every listen. Another referee might have turned around and said, "No, there's enough contact there for me to give a penalty, even though he's not in control of the ball."
Yeah, I mean that for me, if that's the consistent view of it, that if it's coming together, he wasn't in control of the ball at the time, and okay, you don't give a penalty. If that's the same this week and next week and the week after, I'm all good. But we know what's going to happen. Someone's going to
Oh yeah,
barrel into
we
someone
are,
next
like I
week,
said, yeah,
and
you're not
it's
gonna,
nearly a situation of correcting the wrong, but
yeah, no,
the
you're
wrong is
not gonna
too
get it.
late.
You're not gonna
But
get the
would
consistency.
you normally ref like that? Would you normally ref in that way that if the player isn't in control of the ball and yet he's barreled into, then that kind of negates the foul for you to give the decision?
Yeah, you read the obviously you read the situation of what's going on. You don't look at the foul in its kind of in that kind of short space. You look at what's going on of the environment around, like where the ball's going, where the opposition players are, where his play. You look at it all, and you make obviously, when you're out there, you've a split second to make a decision. Obviously, you can leave it a few seconds. We seen, for instance, the referee at the Sam at the Brentford game. He should have taken his time rather than blow the whistle straight away. We seen it for West Brom against Brighton a few years ago. Remember, Lewis Dunk took the free kick and it went in, but the referee blew the whistle twice. So yeah, it's very difficult. You have to give yourself a little bit of time, but then at the same time you have to make a split decision. So it's difficult, but you're not gonna, like I said, you're not gonna get the consistency because it's different people interpret the laws. It's like everyday life. Everyone has different opinions. Um the laws aren't exactly black and white, so it's how you interpret it. Everyone is
Mm.
different in the way they referee, so it's not going to be consistent over the course of a season.
Yeah, it's good show from Ted here. I would say even this week you see two different ways of doing it. Palace goal disallowed because of something off the ball, but then the Chelsea is just off the ball, but not a foul.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
I
just
wouldn't mind,
it's the
Ted.
environment of it as well.
Yeah,
And
and I wouldn't mind the Palace goal was disallowed for a foul off the ball, but then it was, like I say, Nathan Collins initiated the foul on Will Hughes, so it should have been awarded even if the whistle hadn't been blown. You know.
yeah, I think the Arda is trying to enforce stuff like that in terms of abusive language of that, but
Well,
I
yeah,
doubt they're not. It's still there. Like
Uh,
that's gonna be.
I said it for years. They tried to bring this in every year. Well, they have it in there, but they tried to highlight it every year that obviously it's your captain that's meant to talk to the official in charge, and then any kind of foul or abusive language towards a referee is punished. But you don't
Mm,
see it like you should do, and that
mm,
listen, and that filters down. Like you see it in League of
mm,
Ireland, you see it when I do an under, particularly a 19s and 18s game. That's when you get a
mm.
lot of that.
And
And I
remember,
always do.
we still have players talking to refs, not just captains. You
Yeah,
know
no,
what I
no,
mean? So
100%. And
yeah,
like what I always do at the start of the game, um, I'll pull the two captains aside and I'll say it. I'll say, you're the manager out on the pitch. You're the man I talk to, right? If anyone ge- has any foul or abusive language towards me, it's a yellow card, right? And I'll look at you when I yellow card them, and you can go over and explain to them what I've said to you. So I'm not going around talking to 22 players on the pitch at one time. So I talk to the captains and say, I'll book him, I'll look at you, and then you can have a word with him. The amount of times it happens, like even I stop games, like you might give a decision and a player's run off and you hear him calling you whatever. I stop the game, go over, yellow card, I look at the captain, I point, have a word with him, and then it's on the captain to get him to, calm down or whatever it may be.
I suppose the risk is the matches end up being five-a-sides after a while, because if
That's
you
the thing,
follow it
but
to the letter of the law, you know what I
no,
mean. It's
if you do, but like again, it goes back to common sense, that type of way. If someone's
mm,
not, directed it directly at me or whatever, I'm not obviously not gonna book him. But you have to set precedents as well. You can't have them going off and saying and doing whatever they want because it takes you out of the game then, and anything can happen. And obviously you're in charge of their health and safety on the day as well. So you need to be fully in
mm.
charge and lay down the law, so to speak.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there, Ted. Four shouts. I think two of them weren't shouts. I think two of them were shouts where you would look at it and potentially give a penalty. I don't think all four. I think a couple of them were just a little bit. So sometimes as well, refs are cute with it as well. When you're looking for it and you're going down as well. You know what I mean? It's where it's obvious. So, but yeah, interesting. Can't imagine. Craig, that Australian lad you led is awful, but gets a lot of Arsenal games. Just a few instances in the Arsenal game. Yeah. What can
He's
we
not.
say
He's
to
all
that?
right. He's not too bad. He's not too bad.
Vardy was swearing tonight. Yeah, no, look. It's been all weekend. This is not new.
I just said,
Players running up, players running into assistants' grills. This is going to go on if they start booking and they start reacting to this stuff the way they want it in the letter of the law. You're going to end up with five-a-side games. It's just going to happen because we've seen it. How many times have we seen it where you get a stupid booking and then you actually do something that warrants a booking and you're getting a red card. You know what I mean? It's just it's crazy, crazy. I'll let the player swear away, I say. As long as it's not abusive, I don't think it's that big an issue. If a call goes against you and you say fuck off in annoyance, it's a harsh yellow.
I
You
thought
know.
like well,
That's it.
you can get different, obviously foul and abusive language towards. You can get personal, or you could get general, which is obviously off or whatever. And then the personal is more a personal attack, which you're more than likely going to give a caution for. Or if you actually read the laws of the game, a foul and abusive language towards a referee can issue in a straight red card, and
Mm,
um a team would have no kind of, they can't really do anything about it. Once it's put into particularly in the DDSL, once it's put into a report, it can't be appealed because it's
mm,
foul and abusive language towards a referee. So that
yeah.
player will have a suspension without any appeal, so, and a fine as well. So you have to, like I said, you have to set precedents. I don't mind general kind of language on the pitch. I get it. I played at a high level. I understand the frustration of the players. I get it 100%. Once it's not foul and abusive and personal towards the referee,
Mm. We
that's
did.
where I draw the line.
I told you before, we had a game abandoned by it and a team thrown out of the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, so big up Ali. Thanks for joining us tonight. Jamie Vardy's such a wind
Oh
up
yeah,
merchant.
Ali.
He 100% is. That's
Yeah.
his game. That is his
But
game.
you need that. You need that in the game. There's, the players are few and far between. It's, it's like in snooker now. You've lost a lot of characters. There's only a handful of them left, and fair play to them.
What you lack in youth, you make up for in the dark arts, as they say.
That's it.
Ted's in. Vardy has told everyone before that shit get banged. Yeah, absolutely.
Too right, man.
Philip is in. You don't see any of that carry on in rugby. Players bombarding or swearing at refs. The ref in rugby won't take any crap. Football should be stricter with carry on like that. I suppose to a point, I just think it's really, really difficult. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of
Well,
you're in the height of it and you're in the heat of it. And look, we've all lost the
I,
rag on a pitch at some stage. You
totally
know what I mean?
understand it, and like obviously rugby is known as a gentleman's game, really, in terms of their behaviour towards a referee. But I've done leagues before. I've done 7-a-side and 5-a-side leagues on a Monday and Wednesday night in the Spa. Well, and the difference in the footballers, even to the Gav players can be very respectful to referees, but when you hear the actual footballers, particularly in those leagues, you'd be shocked at what you hear. Like, do you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
amount of abuse you get, like Craig in the chat. Craig, you've played in that league up there, and obviously I played in it as well, but refereeing in it as well. Some of the stuff is mental, and there's
I've
fights
seen
all
it.
the time. Like,
I've seen it firsthand through coaching. I've seen it firsthand through coaching. It's crazy from underage
unbelievable.
level, from under eights all the way up,
Yeah,
all the way up. And as a matter of fact, it can be worse at the lower age levels. Worse. But yeah, that rounds
big
out
time.
kind of ref watch for this week. I just want to have a quick look. Obviously, how'd you feel? City unbeaten now, 24 games in the league, continuing off from last season. Um, what you thinking at the moment? Going to be hard to dethrone them 5 in a row.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like obviously, like I said last week, you look at the league and you kind of look at about 6, 7 games in when you can really judge. But with City, I don't think that really stands for them, does it? They're just robots. It was a tricky first game of the season on paper for them yesterday. They made it look easy. Like we said, some of the referee decisions could have changed that in favour of Chelsea, but it didn't. And City went and took full advantage, and they got a goal from a natural goal scorer in Haaland, a goal from a not so natural goal scorer in Kovacic. De Bruyne was there. I think Oscar Bob's going to have a good season as well. They've enough players to change it around with quality and strength and depth. So, it'd be interesting. Listen, you'd like to see Arsenal or another team, try pip them to the post, but they have the experience there and the know-how, especially in the latter stages of the season. I think Craig will agree that Arsenal tend to, around kind of February, March time, wobble a little bit and stuff like that, where City just all the way, just not a bother to them. So,
It'll
but
it'll
listen,
it'll be it'll be interesting to see in September with the case starting. Does
yeah,
does
yeah.
does it does any of the pressure of that or what's evolving will it manifest itself in the pitch? I wouldn't think so because
No,
they're such
listen,
good
I know.
footballers and
Listen, I
stuff like
know
that as
Pep
well.
has never had to deal with something like that, but you would think that he'd just keep all the focus away from that, from the
Mm.
players and stuff like that. So I don't think that will probably have effect on the pitch.
And they came out and set the deadline for Pep by Christmas. He has to decide whether he's staying or going
Yeah, seeing
because it's
that.
all
Yeah,
up in the air. But I reckon Pep is holding all the cards and he's waiting to see what comes out of the case potentially.
yeah,
So,
exactly,
yeah, so it'll be
definitely.
interesting. One other slide I just wanted to pull up. This is where we're at so far, spend wise in the window and stuff like that. Man United, obviously, a net spend to me doesn't mean anything anyway, but it's an
Yeah, yeah,
interesting chart. I'd imagine United will probably put a few more players out the door, but interesting news coming out tonight. They thought they had a deal with McTominay that Fulham had met it and stuff like that, but then apparently Fulham have
on the
switched up
bird.
now and they're going to Sanderberg, which leaves kind of McTominay in limbo and stuff like that, or maybe it's playing games with United going in for Sanderberg. They were linked with him as well. Not too sure what way that's going to flush out, but I'd be very concerned for Fulham if they were buying McTominay for the six.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, listen, obviously he's better going forward, but he can play in that defensive midfield role, and he's played centre half as well for Scotland and CDM for them as well, so he can do it. Obviously, he's not one of the strengths of his game. He started off his career at the underage level for Manchester United as a striker, and then he was moved back into midfield. He definitely knows what to do around the box. We've seen it so often with him, but he can do it. But yeah, I think it was 30 million, was it? They
30
Fulham,
million was the
yeah,
valuation they wanted to meet and stuff like that. And
yeah. Like,
um,
listen, Sanderberg's probably more of that midfielder that you'd want. So it'd be interesting. I know you were linked with him before. He had a good few seasons. He had a good season with Sheffield United there not so long ago, where everyone was kind of looking at him and stuff. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next few days.
but there's your spenders at the moment looking at that. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
it's easy seeing the
and look
slide
who's
there, but
bottom. Obviously, with the pending charges, they know, and then Wolves, yeah, Liverpool,
they've made
Palace.
well. City is really. I mean, they're 92 million there. Most of that is probably caught up in the Alvarez deal and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and all. So, but
Jeez, if you
again,
think Ipswich spent that much, holy,
mm,
that and
and look at
Southampton,
look
obviously.
look at Chelsea there now. Look at Chelsea. And I was talking to Ian about this today as well. When we discuss Chelsea and we talk about the volume of players and the numbers and stuff
Yeah,
like that, they're only 64 in the red, 64 million this window.
that's mad, isn't it?
And
Like
like,
when
if
you
you
think,
think now, Gallagher's probably going to go out the door now for in around 40. That brings
yeah,
it down to 24. I reckon Broge is going to go as well. He'll get upwards of 25, maybe, or 30. Then there's probably going to be a deal potentially with Lukaku.
yeah,
So I said it, and I said it to Ian as well on the show, I think it was, and I spoke to Ian about it. I think Chelsea, whatever way they're doing their accounting, are going to come out positive in this. And
that's
that's a
mad, isn't it? Like,
madness when you think
that's
about what
mental.
they're doing. You
That's
know what I mean?
mental.
And now maybe Joe Felix might affect that as well, slightly as
Yeah, it
well. But
could do.
then
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
it depends how they account for him and what's the offset and stuff like that. They're going to get the full 40 in from
yeah,
Gallagher. What way they treat Joe Felix in the accounts, let's see, and stuff like that and all. But it's certainly going to be very, very interesting. But it's interesting when you get reading into the numbers. It's interesting. You see Ipswich up there, 83 million spent, only a million recouped. Southampton, 70 million spent, only 4 million recouped. West Ham up there as well, Tottenham and all. But then you look at you go all the way down. You look at Villa. Villa like are 6 million in the green,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you look at what they've done as well. And you look at West Ham up near the top, 32 million recouped, 132 million spent. Lopetegui, of course, on a mad one and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they balance these things out and how they treat them in their accounts and stuff like
Counts.
that.
Yeah,
And will some of these teams that have rolled the dice on Premier League and stuff like that, the Ipswiches and the Southampton, how close are they to PSR and FFP and all that kind of stuff? And also, obviously, Chelsea have changed the financial world in terms of football.
yeah.
But it'd be interesting. Phillips saying, I'd be good to see McTominay leave United. He got them out of trouble loads of times last year. He's that guy. That's why I mentioned I don't feel he's a six for Fulham. He's that guy to crash the box, isn't he? He just goes in, crashes the box, and picks up those
And
goals.
he's listen, you can see the passion. He's United through and through. He came in as a young lad, and he on the test.
Some would say
He
that he's a cat. Just
the cat.
saying.
No, I'm the same with you, Phil. I'd be good to see him because, like I said, he's United through, come through the youth academy all the way up. I think he was 9 or 10 when he signed, and obviously being Scottish, Sir Alex was a big fan of his. When he was coming up through the ranks, Sir Alex was always keeping an eye out for him and stuff like that. But yeah, listen, there's always a time to move on, and we if he does go, wish him all the best of luck with his career. Because if he does go to a Fulham or something like that, I know he'll do a good job for them. There's no doubt about it. He'll give it his all.
Yeah, I think for United it has to be, there has to be root and branches, as Rangnick said back in the day when he was there. This is open heart surgery, and there's obviously people that fall through that and stuff. And
Yeah,
I think this is probably the third season now you've tried to move McTominay out the door and stuff like that and all.
yeah. Of course, he
Um,
was linked with West Ham and all last year at the time Maguire was and
yeah,
stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, no. And
But
listen,
but
like I
the,
said,
but
lad,
there's no doubt last season when he came in and some of those goals he got when he crashed the box and stuff
yeah,
like that and all, like, they were fundamental
unbelievable.
to where you were there and stuff like that. But just in the modern day football, having that player kind of there just to crash the box
Yeah,
doesn't really work. But yeah, absolutely, it'd be good. It'd be a good. I think it'd be a good move for him as well, because I think stepping down from Man United into a Fulham or something like that, you know what I mean? You kind of be a big deal, you know what I mean? And
mm.
you'd probably play on that maybe, and maybe that would lift your game and stuff like that
No,
and
he'll
all, and
definitely
maybe
do a
that's
job for whoever he goes to. There's no doubt about that. And
big up
he's been,
Jordan all the way from Jamaica. How
oh
are
yeah,
you, my friend?
Jordan.
Hope you're good. Make sure you're subbing to Jordan's channel, LFC channel he has there and on. He's doing watch alongs for
Is he
loads of
getting
different
Steve
games.
McLaren on yet? No, the
He's
new
been
Jamaican
covering he's
manager.
been covering La Liga and everything he had watch alongs yesterday, I think Mallorca and all sorts of stuff. So fair play. Max Sauce for us seems happy to be the super sub, so I'd be happily keep him.
Definitely agree
Um,
with you there, Ted. 100%. I'd keep him as well if that is the case. So, but he definitely, like I said, if he was to go elsewhere, he'd definitely do a job for someone. Like you'd see him starting in League Cup games for us and coming on the last 10, 15 minutes of the game and throwing himself in there. So, no, definitely. If either way, I wish him the best of luck. But
be
yeah,
really
hopefully he can stay.
be really interesting if a team took him on and put him in that forward position permanently, where he started out in the academy and
Yeah,
stuff like that, and just see how he actually
no,
does
he
and all.
does. Yeah, yeah.
Imagine he goes into a team just starts balling out and scoring goals and getting assists and all that. Crazy, wouldn't it, when you
And
think
look how
about
many
it?
goals he has for Scotland, and there's games where he'll get
I know.
two, and I think it was Cyprus away he got two, and then a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
weeks later at Hampden Park he got another two, and it's like Jesus,
yeah,
but he has it in his
yeah.
locker.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, as always, a pleasure having you on. Great review. I am back
Yourself,
tomorrow night for Pro Wrestling Weekly, folks. I'll be on at 8 o'clock. We'll be discussing All In. We'll be discussing Bash and Berlin and any other news that's out there at the moment. Crazy stuff out there at the moment, as always. On Wednesday, me and Marky back on your screens, 9 o'clock. Danny Pugh interview. We're going to be having Danny on. Have a good chat with Danny about his time in the academy, the different moves, some good stories on the road, who he played with, who he liked, who he didn't like, all those kind of things. So we'll get him on and we'll obviously talk about obviously his move into, he did a little bit of coaching and caretaking and stuff like that as well, and how he's feeling about getting involved. And he's involved in the United Legends and all that stuff. So won't be a very static interview. It'll be kind of flying, bit of
I'm looking
crack and a
forward
bit of
to it.
fun stuff
Really
that.
looking
So
forward to
it is up there on the channel already. So if you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button, drop a like on the video as well. And if you have any questions for Danny, feel free to go over to the chat
it. Definitely,
and put your questions in there. And we will put all your questions to Danny on the night. It is a live show and stuff like that as well. So if you have any questions for him, get them in there as well. We always appreciate these guys coming on and giving their time and giving us interviews as well. Really, really important. So as always, don't forget as well, head over to Hogan Elite Trophy Hire, Facebook and Instagram. If you have that event and you need the trophies, they look amazing. They always look great on display and stuff like that as well. Hit up Mark. He'll look after you. Tell him you
that's
watch and you listen to the podcast and you like it and you're a subscriber. He will look after you, of course, as
definitely
always.
100%, lads.
So until next time, folks, enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will talk to you again real soon. Or Marky will talk to you just a little sooner after that.
Definitely.
Take it
See you
easy,
Wednesday,
folks.
lads.
Cheers, folks.